Hello, and welcome to A Seat at the Table, a show to keep you connected and informed about state government and our great capital city. My name is Sarah Anthony, and I'm honored to serve as your state representative here in Michigan's 68th House District, which includes the city of Lansing and Lansing Township. Today's episode is all about the importance of higher education and ways we can improve outcomes for Michigan's students, as well as students right here in Lansing. Joining us for today's show, we have the Michigan College Access Network and the Capital Area College Access Network. Both organizations are dedicated to making college accessible and affordable for all students, no matter their background, their skin color, their zip code, or their family's income. The resources they coordinate and provide range from FAFSA assistance, writing workshops, scholarship opportunities, all of which their staffs remain focused on empowering young people to achieve their goals after high school. Starting us off, I'm joined by Mr. Ryan Fewens-Bliss, who is newly named Executive Director of the Michigan College Access. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
So, little fun fact, Ryan and I worked together for a number of years at the Michigan College Access Network. And tell us about yourself and how you became the Executive Director of MCAN.
Well, I've been at MCAN, as you know, for about a decade. I was a consultant, and then I was the assistant director, and then the deputy director, and just a couple of weeks ago was named the permanent executive director.
Nice. And tell us a little bit about the organization that we both love so much that you're now leading.
Yeah, so MCAN is a 501c3 nonprofit, a statewide intermediary organization. So that means we don't work directly with students and families. We work with the adults who work with students and families. High schools, foundations, higher eds, those folks.
Excellent. And you're based right here in Lansing,
That's right.
Even though you're statewide.
In your district.
And tell us about some of the specifics about the organization. What's its mission? What's getting you up every day to lead this organization?
Yeah, our mission is to increase college readiness, persistence, completion, especially for students who are low-income, first-generation college-going students or students of color. Our big goal is to hit 60% by 2030, 60% of Michigan residents having a certificate or degree by the year 2030.
Excellent. Now, we talk about this all the time, right? That many circles that you and I have been in over the past decade, that college became a dirty word, right? That even your name, the Michigan College Access Network, has been challenged. That, you know, the notion that not every student should go to college and that college isn't worth it, you know, worth the cost. Talk to me about how your organization views those conversations and right-sizes some of those, I would say, just those lies, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's sort of the anti-intellectualism debate that's happening in our country right now. It used to be when you told someone your kid is going to Harvard, it would be something the whole community would cheer, and now it does feel like it's a dirty secret. We fight that head on. We don't accept any of that. All of the data, all of the research shows that the college education is your best course forward. It's sort of like thinking you're going to buy lottery tickets for your retirement. Yeah, a couple of people are going to hit the lottery and they can retire on that, but not everyone's going to hit the lottery, and if you put it all into lottery tickets, you're not going to be able to retire. Right. College education is the same way. Really, really critical that people still get that education. So we have redefined the word college to mean post-secondary education. Most people don't know what post-secondary means because we don't call high school secondary school anymore. Right. So we call it all college. We're talking about certificates, we're talking about associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, and beyond. It's all part of the college family to us, and it's all part of what Michigan needs for our economy in the next decade.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You know, I know that we'll talk a little bit about this Total Talent report that MCAN really helped to spearhead with a number of critical partners in this space. But I love the fact that MCAN has embraced the idea that we need a little bit of everything, right? Yeah. We do need people with degrees, advanced degrees. We need PhDs and folks with masters and bachelors. And we need folks with other things.
That's right.
Yeah. So
the pendulum seems to swing too far all the time, right? It's everybody should go to 4 a year, and then everybody should get a skilled trade certificate, and that neither of those are true. We need a bucket of 4 year, we need a bucket of 2 year, we need a bucket of certificates. We've got to have doctors and lawyers. We still have to feed that pipeline because every year those folks are retiring, and we need to backfill who comes in after them.
That's right. That's right. So one of the biggest things that I hear, either in my role as an aunt of people who are, going to be going to college soon, just as a community member in churches and community centers, and even in my role as a state representative, college affordability
Yeah.
often seems to be what leads the conversation.
Yeah.
Not that students and parents don't want to send their kids off, not that kids don't want to go off, but they're nervous about, going into debt, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes student loan debt leads the conversation around why you should or shouldn't go to college. Talk to me a little bit about what MCAN is doing to address that barrier, and then what we should be doing at the state in terms of college affordability.
Yeah, I'm going to put a lot of onus on you all, your colleagues, to fix this problem. Michigan ranks in the very bottom of the states in terms of state-based financial aid. We've got to change that. When we invest in post-secondary education, when we invest in college, everybody in the state does better. Good things happen all over the state, especially around the economy. So it's a good investment for the state to make. So we've got to increase that. We've got to encourage kids to fill out the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. A lot of poor families, low-income families, turn on the TV, they turn on CNN, they turn on their nightly news, and they hear, you can't go to college, you shouldn't go to college is too expensive. And they turn off the TV and think, this isn't a pathway for us. But if you fill out the FAFSA, a lot of those low-income folks are going to be fully Pell Grant eligible. And that'll pay for an associate's degree at all of Michigan's community colleges. It is a pathway forward. So that's definitely something that we do at MCAN, is encourage folks to fill out the FAFSA and run FAFSA campaigns. We have a college cash campaign that ranges from November 1st to March 1st every year, where high schools all across the state are doing campaigns to fill out the FAFSA and fill out scholarship applications with students.
And I will tell you, I don't want to date us, but I will tell you that the FAFSA has never been easier to fill out,
Yeah.
right?
There's
It's
an
not the
app
paper.
now on the
Is there an app?
phone. Yes.
I will tell you the
Yes.
paperwork that we had to fill out before
Yeah.
going to Central Michigan University was not nearly. It was a lot. It was
Yeah.
daunting, right?
It took my mom, and it took calculators, and it took tax returns.
Yes, and now it's just so much easier for
Yeah.
students, right? So, and no kid can tell me they can't pick up a phone in an app. They do everything else.
That's right.
So, and talk to me about some of the things happening in the Capitol that you all are trying to hold us accountable as legislators to uphold as it comes to affordability. I know the My Opportunity Scholarship is
Yeah.
one that you all have talked about, being in support of. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, a group of leading Lansing organizations has called upon you all to increase state-based financial aid by at least $400 million. That sounds like a ton of money, but when compared to all of the peer states around the country, it's really not. That doesn't even get us to be the #1 in the country in state-based financial aid. The Michigan Opportunity Scholarship and Michigan Reconnect programs are great ways to get this started. They will transform what happens around dinner tables and homes all across the state. The Opportunity Scholarship is for traditional students leaving high school, entering college, for a tuition-free pathway to community college to an associate's degree, or if you go to a 4-year and your income doesn't meet a certain threshold, is below that threshold, there's about $5,000 that you can access over 2 years for a 4-year degree. And then the Reconnect program is for adults who have never gotten a college certificate or a degree, to another tuition-free path for them to come back to school. Come to school for the first time and get an associate's degree without taking on that debt that you referenced.
Yes. I think that that's brilliant that the governor had the vision to say, we want to address both traditional age high school students as well as folks who,
Yeah.
Their jobs are just changing
Right.
rapidly, or they may want a new career, one that is a little more marketable long term. So I think that's awesome. I am a huge proponent of both of those. I'm a co-sponsor on both.
Yeah.
But it's
Those
heavy
both
tough.
came
Yeah.
from Tennessee.
right.
Tennessee launched both of those. Republican governor, Republican legislature, they saw the business case for this. So I'm really excited that we have a Democratic governor that has supported this and a Republican legislature who has co-sponsors of both of these bills. So it really is bipartisan. We just need y'all to move it a little faster.
I'm trying, Ryan. I'm trying. We're working on it. One of the things after leaving MCAN, I worked really hard to be not only on the Appropriations Committee,
Yeah.
but the Minority Vice Chair of Higher Ed Appropes. And so these are things that we've been fighting for all year. We'll continue to fight for. We did not receive the amount of funding that we think is really going to get us to that 60 by 2030 goal.
That's right.
But we know that it's a baby step.
That's
so
right.
we hope to continue on some of those increases.
Yes, an increase is good. We've got to have it be more in order to support these institutions and our students.
That's right. So in this year's budget process, before the show started, we talked a little bit about a program that you all are supportive of, the Michigan Tuition Grant.
Yeah.
And we have right here in mid-Michigan, Davenport,
That's right.
and many students who attend Davenport and other institutions rely on this grant in order to fund their education. Talk a little bit about why MCAN is supportive of the Michigan Tuition Grant.
Yeah, so this is one of those line items in the state budget that got tussled about in the budget negotiations, or lack of negotiations, I should say, between the legislature and the governor, and was line item vetoed. It's about $38 million for low-income students to attend private and independent institutions. So the real kicker of this is that students had their financial aid packages with the Michigan Tuition Grant in them. They started the year with that package, and then in the middle of the semester were notified that this no longer exists in the state. And so there's a lot of panic. It's about 17,000 students across the state who are in school right now. They're probably in class today worrying about the debt that they're going to incur, or if they can even stay because the tuition grant was vetoed. So we're hoping that the legislature will come back to the table and negotiate with the governor. The kicker of it all is the Republicans in the legislature, the Democrats in the legislature, and the governor all agree that we want this to happen, and we all agree that there's funding for it to happen. Mm-hmm. So I gotta believe folks will come in to a room at some point and sign on the bottom line for all those students and families.
Hopefully by the time the show airs,
That's
we will
right.
have something. Hopefully.
That's right.
Hopefully. So before we wrap up, I wanted to hear a little bit about your journey in terms of how you're approaching this work, and or what has been the most rewarding thing about doing this work almost for a decade now.
Yeah, so my journey is one of privilege, which is what brings me to this work. You know, I had a mom who sat down with the calculator and the taxes and helped me fill out the FAFSA and complete a college application. I did on-site admission to Central Michigan University, and I'm from Northern Michigan, and I just waltzed onto campus, and 1, 2, 3, 4 years, and I was out, and then I stayed and got a master's degree, not realizing that there were so many classmates of mine at Central and so many missing classmates of mine who could have been at Central or any of the other institutions who couldn't get there and couldn't finish because they didn't have the supports that I had. And so there's a real equity issue here. We see black students, Hispanic students, students whose parents have never gone to college, and low-income and poor students not being able to access post-secondary. CMU was a game changer for me. It changed my life, it changed my worldview, and I just think that everybody in the state, everybody in the country deserves to have that transformational change for themselves.
Amen. And fire up chits.
That's right.
So, well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time. I know this has been a crazy busy time for you.
Has. Can I give you one last thing?
Sure.
I noticed you're not wearing a 60 by 30 pin.
Hey!
So I brought one for you to
Thank
proudly
you.
show that you're supporting the 60 by 30 movement.
I will put this on during the break.
Thank you.
And thank you. I will wear this proudly. And
Yeah,
know
on that legislative floor. I want to see shame in everyone's faces
You
who's
got it.
not moving on this stuff.
You got it. You got it. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks
we
for having
appreciate
me.
you being here. And thank you again. And when we return after this short break, we will be chatting with Michelle Strass from the Capital Area College Access Network. Be back soon.
Chance of me changing my position on healthy eating, 0%. But the chance of you getting some kind of financial aid for college, 85%. Your chances are that good. Almost everyone can get money for school. All it takes is about 20 minutes. Form your future by applying today at fafsa.gov.
College was a game changer because it opened up many doors professionally and personally.
Hello, and welcome back to A Seat at the Table. I'm very excited to introduce my next guest, Michelle Strass and Victoria Thatch. Michelle is the Executive Director of the Capital Area College Access Network, and Victoria is one of our amazing college advisors here locally at Sexton High School. Thank you both so much for being here
Thanks for having us.
Yes. So we just had on Ryan Fewens-Bliss, who is the executive director of the Michigan College Access Network, the statewide organization doing this work. And I know that they have several local college access networks that do this work in communities all across the state. And my favorite is right here in the capital area, the Capital Area College Access Network. So for folks who may not know what CAPCAN is, tell us about it.
Sure. So CAPCAN, the Capital Area College Access Network, is the community collaborative dedicated to increasing college attainment across our region. We focus on college readiness, participation, and completion. And we have a very diverse board of directors that includes representatives from higher ed, K-12, the business community, other nonprofits, philanthropy, and government, who all come together to try and prioritize what we can do to increase college attainment.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And I think that's smart, right? Sometimes folks will think that college attainment is just an educational sector issue, but you all are so savvy to think that this is also something for the business community and nonprofits and government. They all, as my grandma would always say, that they all have a nickel in that dollar, right? And so
A seat at the table, as you
it.
say.
That's it. So what type of resources does CAPCAN offer, coordinate, provide for students and families in our region?
So we really have focused on sort of three core things. One, we try to create a college-going culture in our community, and we do that by providing a training opportunity for adults who may be parents, professionals, or mentors working with students. So we're all on the same page, we all have the same language, we all have accurate information about post-secondary education in order to be able to share that with our young people in the community. Because sometimes the messenger is the person that's going to have an impact on that student. It isn't just always mom saying, do this, do that. It's, you know, your aunt, your uncle, your coach, your teacher that's reinforcing that information. So that's one thing that we do. The second and probably more important thing related back to what Victoria is doing is supporting our college advising network throughout the community. So when we started back in 2009, we only worked with the Lansing School District. And over time, we have scaled up across the community. We now include both Ingham and Eaton in our community. So we have 14 high schools in our region that have college advisors, at least part-time. And those college advisors support the students, helping them do that post-secondary planning, fill out those college applications, complete the FAFSA, and then if they're working on scholarships, we support that as well.
Excellent. Excellent. And so since you mentioned the 14 college advisors, one amazing one is here. So Victoria, tell us about yourself. So I just recently heard that you are a proud graduate of Sexton High School. Is that true?
Yep. Class of 2015, go Big Reds. So I entered this role because I personally had my own college advisor over at JW Sexton, and that was just an amazing experience, and I don't think I would be like where I'm at today without her help. She pushed me to apply to the University of Michigan where I didn't think I could do it. So it's something that I think starting my junior year of college, when I realized that this was a role through the University of Michigan and through College Advising Corps, it was something that I wanted to do, like give back to not only the students, but be able to like support my community again.
Awesome. That's awesome. And so what are some of the things that you help students navigate at Sexton High School? What are some of the resources that you help them provide, or that you provide?
So basically we just finished up college month, so that was helping students fill out college applications, trying to figure out like what they want to do. And necessarily doesn't have to be your typical like four-year institutions, looking at things over at like Lansing Community College, things that they're doing at LCC West with like trades and tech, thinking about other like two-year associates and all that kind of stuff. And just like kind of navigating the like realm of like, what am I going to do after high school? And then explain to students that it doesn't have to be a four-year, or it can be a four-year, or they have just different options, and just like making sure students know that they have all those options.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Michelle, one of the things that I've really appreciated about the Capital Area College Access Network is I do think that you all have been able to prioritize the spectrum of post-secondary options for students, right? I think that's really true to who we are in Mid-Michigan. We have our industrial footprint and our automotive past and present, but then we also have institutions of higher learning from LCC to Davenport to Michigan State University. Talk to me a little bit about why you all felt it was important to have a wide range of priorities and resources for students.
Yeah, well, as we work with the business community here through Capillary Michigan Works and LEAP and the Chamber, we know that 70% of the jobs in our community require some form of post-secondary education. And we also know that only 49% of the adults in our community and 39% of adults in Lansing specifically have some form of post-secondary education. So that means there's a gap in the qualified talent that we have in our community. So the business community recognizes that it has a stake in the game to be able to find and help nourish a pipeline to their organizations for employment. And we also know that in order to have a stable society and a stable community, we need to make sure that people have the support that they need in order to continue their education. So we've also looked at a wide range of issues, including housing for our homeless college students. We have looked at our foster students and the gaps and barriers that they're challenged by in obtaining post-secondary education. So we collaborate a lot with the Power of We in Ingham County to try and address the whole host of barriers and challenges that families might face in order to continue their education beyond high school. And we want to make sure that any college post-secondary education that young people have is putting them on stable footing to get a job and to have a happy, successful, and stable, economically stable life.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You know, one of the things that Ryan and I talked about in the last segment is that one of the biggest barriers, real or perceived, for many students, particularly first-generation college students, is affordability, the financial barrier, right? Many low-income first-gen students don't know about all the financial resources that they have right at their fingertips, as long as they just do their FAFSA, right? Talk to me, both of you, a little bit about what you're doing to help students with college affordability conversations, right? The different resources. We have some unique things happening in Mid-Michigan with the Promise. So what's going on?
Sure. So we do have the Lansing Promise Scholarship. So any young person that grows up in the city of Lansing and graduates from either the Lansing Public School District, a private, or a homeschool, can access their Lansing Promise Scholarship when they go to college. And they can use that, of course, at Lansing Community College, Michigan State, or Olivet. And we want students to know that they have that and that this should be part of their plan and part of their dream as they move forward in their education. So one of the things that we have done, and certainly Victoria will talk about this related to what she does related to FAFSA, is we just go in and we blitz the students, some of it in October, but then now we're heavily into November. And we've actually initiated an initiative in the community called FAFSA Flocked. So if you see pink flamingos around town, that's just a reminder to our seniors, that's what this is, to please complete your FAFSA and talk to your parents about how important that is as a door opening for you to obtain all the resources you may be eligible for. So we're very fortunate that we have that, but there are students that still struggle to complete that process. And I'm sure Victoria has experienced this. You know, we have students that are not living with their families. We have students, obviously, who have come out of the foster system. So we have to work more intentionally with them to make sure that they understand the process because they're the adult in the situation. And then we also know that there are additional resources that they may be eligible for that they're not aware of yet.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, what's going on the ground in the school?
So basically, I try to provide as many resources and help as possible for these students. So I host FAFSA nights. I have conversations with not only students but with parents because on the parent side of things, they might be like, why should I do this? How does it benefit my student? And all that kind of stuff. So being able to have those conversations with the parents, being like, this could save your students so much more money if you just spend 25, 30 minutes max filling out this application. And then like Michelle was saying, there can be some different barriers and situations that other students might face in terms of homelessness, coming out of the foster care and all of that. But for those students, I think it's really important to sit down, do the FAFSA with them, and then just emphasizing that they have as much support, and then that we're going to get those support and resources for them specifically, especially because they're kind of they're on their own with this, and being able to just be there for them and reassuring that they can still go to school, they will be able to pay for it, because some students are just like freaking out. They're just like, oh my gosh, I can't like pay for it because I can't provide X, Y, and Z. And I'm just like, no, hold on, we got this, we'll do it together. That's why I tell my students, I'm just like, we'll work with it, we got this.
That's it. We got this. I love that. And I love it's the we, right? That you're there, you know, with them every step of the way.
And we have a point of pride in Lansing that the Lansing School District has the highest FAFSA completion in the region
Yes.
at 67%.
That is awesome.
So we actually are encouraging all of our other school districts to meet that challenge.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm going to brag to my colleagues
You should.
on the floor today.
Yeah,
so
you should.
when they roll their eyes at me, I'm going to blame you, both of you. So I guess as we wrap up, what is one piece of advice that you would give to my viewers, either if a student is watching or a parent is watching, maybe again with our demographics, many are first generation, right? And so what's one piece of advice that you would give as they are exploring the next steps after high school, either for themselves or their child?
I think for me, because I'm also first generation student, my parents kind of just like, when I was in high school, they were just like, do your thing, you got this. And I was kind of like, I don't know what to do. But it is definitely okay to ask questions, reaching out to all the support you have at school, just because your teachers, your coaches, your college advisors, administration, they only want what's best for you. So being able to reach out to those people and utilizing them as a resource is the most important thing to do, because now I'm back and I get as much support as I can from my old teachers, administration, who was there when I was back there in 2015. They're still there supporting me. So being able to keep these lifelong connections is something that's really important, and being able to come back and do the things you want to do.
Excellent. What about you, Michelle?
Well, every family has a first in their family that goes to college, and for so many of our families in this community, their children will be the first. So it's important for families to know that this is a family transforming moment, and it's a family decision and a family conversation. So for those parents that are uncomfortable with sharing their tax information, you're doing this to lay a platform for your family that will go on for generations, and I think that's exciting.
Every family has a first. I love that. I love that so much. Thank you both. Thank you
You're
both for
welcome.
everything you're doing for our students, right? We appreciate it. So,
Thank you.
and I hope that you as viewers have enjoyed this week's episode of A Seat at the Table. I'd like to again thank our guests for taking the time to share their knowledge with us today. If you or someone you know is interested in learning more and furthering their education, make sure to check out the resources provided by the Michigan College Access Network and the Capital Area College Access Network, as shown below your screen. As always, do not hesitate to call or email my office if I can ever be of assistance. So until next time, thanks for watching, and love Lansing.